See what's on there.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, produce me the amazing Mysterio!
It's hard to accept that your own offspring has helped cover up the murder of her own child. It's undescribable. It's the most heinous crime in the world.
Ben Butler has been convicted of the murder of his 6-year-old daughter, Ellie. Ellie had been removed from the care of her mother and father in 2007 after Butler was sentenced and imprisoned for assaulting her. She was just 7 weeks old. At that time, Ellie was placed in the care of her maternal grandparents, Neal and Linda Gray.
It was a great joy. It was a new lease of life as well. She was a beautiful, bubbly little girl. When she started walking, that was a great joy. And we used to go to the park virtually every day. We used to go on a bike or a scooter.
There's no bell. Look at Granddad.
We'll get you a bell.
Granddad on it.
That's when I bought her a bike for Christmas. We joined the PTA. We got involved with the school activities like the school fetes, and she wanted to do swimming. And then she wanted to do brownies. She wanted to do gym club. We used to have a big trampoline, a 10-foot trampoline. That used to be Ellie's domain, and that used to be the little vegetable plot for her. I bought her a little packet of seeds from B&Q for children, and she was so happy when she was pulling the carrots up for a Sunday lunch. She said, I grew these. But she wanted to be an artist. She liked making pictures and little models and gluing things together. I always got a hug every night. Good night, Grandad. I love you. Excuse me, I'm getting emotional now. So with Lynn. You couldn't ask for a better child. I still miss her now. Really do.
Ellie, look at Nanny.
Ben Butler's conviction was overturned at the Court of Appeal on the 17th of June 2010. For the next 2 years, the Greys spent their life savings, £70,000, in a custody battle with Butler and their own daughter, Jenny. During this time, the judge, Mrs. Justice Hogg, removed Sutton Council Social Services from the case. They were replaced by private firm Services for Children, who were tasked with assessing Ben Butler and Jenny Gray's suitability to regain custody of Ellie.
They told us that Ellie was doing too many activities at school and it wasn't good for her. And we tried to explain that the activities are what every normal little child does. And the private social workers, S4C, continually criticised and tried to demoralise Lynn and I, that we weren't doing a good job, and if we complained, we were troublemakers, and for that nearly 18 months we had all this. Social service were fighting us on one side, the parents were fighting us on another side, and at the end of the day, all that mattered really was Ellie. And this continued and continued until we lost Ellie. This is not a tenth of the things she used to have up here. Oh, more pictures, bric-a-brac and toys and what's left. I'm finding things I never knew I had. Ellie, thank you for being a flower girl on our wedding. I've still got the petals, still got the dress, still got the shoes, still got the little ribbon. There's so much and so much lost. I always said to the judge, one day you all may have blood on your hands with regards to my granddaughter Ellie, and my words have come true. And I asked for it to be noted in the records of the court.
Ellie was returned to her mother and father's care in November 2012, 11 months before she died of catastrophic head injuries. Neal and Linda Gray were denied phone or face-to-face contact with Ellie on 23 occasions during this time. They last saw her the day before she died.
Jenny phoned on the Sunday morning and she asked if we would like to see Ellie for half an hour in Sutton. So my wife And I jumped at the chance because we hadn't seen them for about 6 weeks. And I could not believe the state Ellie was in. Her hair was uncombed, she had odd socks on, her trousers looked unwashed, her coat was all creased up, and she had a bruise on her face and an eye. And every time she went to say something, her mother looked at her and could see she was scared in her eyes. We could guess what the problem was. But within 29 minutes, the mother said, "That's it now, we got to go." I got a big hug and a kiss, and she told me, "I love you, Grandad, and I love you, Nana." And that's the last we saw of her. It was heartbreaking. On the 29th, which was a Tuesday evening, and there was a knock on the door, and it was a young police lady, nice young lady. She said, "I've some bad news." And straight away, Lynn jumped. She said, "It's not to do with Ellie." And they said yes. So we invited the lady in, and she explained, as you'd had Ellie for 5.5 years, we feel that you should know that she's passed away. We've arrested the parents, and it's a homicide. It's very quiet here in the summer. Now I have to sit out here on my own at times. It's nice to have a garden, gives me something to do. We've had no contact with the mother or the father since the incident, and we don't ever want any more contact ever again. I haven't even told them that my wife has died, and that was my wife's dying wish to the police and the priest and myself, that she did not want Jenny to know, or she's not our family anymore, Jenny. Both of them deserve the harshest penalty that can be given. They failed her. The High Courts, the family courts, social services failed her. The system failed her completely and utterly. The police have been absolutely fantastic. And they brought a victim support lady in called Joanna Early, and she has been a rock. Well, I personally would like to see a full inquest. I think my wife deserves justice, because I blame them partially for my wife's demise, because without all this terrible trauma and shock, I think my wife will be here today. But the most important person they owe it to is Ellie, my granddaughter.